Hello, hello. I'm going to just give this a minute before I start talking because it's been a while and I have no idea if this is working. So I'm going to wait until I see some confirmation in chat. So just give me a thumbs up in chat if the live stream is working. Still waiting for confirmation. You hear me, but there's no video. There's no video. Just let me gray screen. No, that's a piece of paper. This is a piece of paper. Just I'm not gonna go any further until I'm sure that you're seeing a piece of paper and not actually a gray screen. Oh, okay. So you do see me. I guess I guess maybe I should have put something there. I thought maybe you could see the line art. There's a little bit of line art there. Um, okay, so it seems like we're good. Uh, Great, fantastic. Here, I'll put a pencil here just so you know it's not a gray screen. Welcome back, everyone. Alicia, Claire, ACC, Linda, Andrea, Diane, Naomi, Cindy, Danny, Chandri. I apologize if I miss anybody. You have to understand that it has been a while. Um, I mean, it has been about a year and a half, I think. Um, and I haven't touched a pencil. This is the first colored pencil I've touched in a year and a half. I haven't done any art. I haven't done any drawing or painting or pastels or anything like that since the last stream. So, anyways, I don't know what I'm gonna do actually. Um, you have to forgive me for being a little out of practice because I don't I don't really remember how to do this. But I'm just using the 12 pack of Polychromos. That's probably what I will use for the foreseeable future, for whatever that future may look like. Um, but uh, yeah, I actually can't even see my paper. It's it's kind of weird, but I have to actually look at my monitor in order to see my paper. It is so dark in my room. Um, I guess I probably should have did a practice run. We'll just call that this is the practice run because I actually cannot see anything on my paper. It just looks like a gray screen to me as well. I'm gonna just guess here a little bit, I guess. Um, I have one small benefit that I can actually look up at my camera. This is a new experience here. I can look up at my camera and I can see enough. So I'm actually not even looking at what I'm drawing. I'm looking at the line art that I can barely see on my monitor. So I'm actually looking away from my paper in order to be able to see anything. It's a bit pixelated. Can't see the line art. Um, let's see. My video quality should be solid. I will try to I'll try to do whatever I can to get uh, to get it showing up um, correctly, but it should be streaming in high quality. I'm so out of practice. I was actually frantically trying to get all this stuff working up until the last second, um, because the OBS keeps crashing. It keeps telling me that I can't log in and that it's not connected to any account, and there's no there's no YouTube channel. Um, but fortunately, I seem to have gotten that situated and figured out. So I hope that you didn't expect a whole lot from this stream, because it's definitely a trial run. This is I'm gonna have to get some lights. I don't have any lights. I do not have my original setup that I used to have before moving. So it's gonna be a bit of shenanigans. You're just gonna have to like enjoy the soothing sounds of my voice, I suppose. Uh, but hopefully, hopefully I'll be able to clean some things up in the future and sort of get things better situated. I definitely need a light, um, because I can't see anything that I'm doing. I'm totally winging it right now. I cannot stress that enough. I've never not looked at my hand while drawing. Um, and this feels really weird because it's not, there's actually a little bit of a delay with my camera. So when I move my hand, it doesn't show up like perfectly when when um when I make a pencil stroke. So if you can imagine like having a mirror on your ceiling and you're like looking up at your mirror and you're trying to draw, that's basically what I'm doing, except the mirror is not reflecting the opposite of what my hand's doing. That would be a nightmare. But also it's a little bit delayed. Uh, so it kind of feels like my hand is drunk right now when I'm trying to fill in this shape with this color. This is just not, this is not gonna work out um, well for me today, unfortunately. So yeah, I guess I'll just try to I guess I'll just try to you know, take on as many questions as I possibly can, and we'll just have kind of a casual conversation today, and I'll try to organize things a little bit better for the next stream, um, and hopefully have some lights again, um, so that I can actually see my paper, because when I look up at the screen to read chat, it's brighter. And then when I look down at my paper, because I just was looking at the screen, I can't see anything. It's very disorienting. So this is going to be a disastrous return stream. All right, let me try not to miss anything. You gotta remember, I'm so out of the loop here. Like I feel like a complete noob. Um, hey there, Stephanie. Good to see you. It has been a long time. Trying to make sure. Yeah, there is also a heavy shadow because I only have an overhead light from the ceiling light, and it's behind me that direction. So is the hard shadow is very, very distracting to me as well. I mean, it just makes it that much more impossible for me to see. Um, Sorry, I'm just trying to check questions. How far did I move? I didn't move far at all, actually. Um, and to give you an idea of how not far I moved, I walked all of our belongings from one flat to the next. I mean, it took me 3 days, and I spent like 12 hours each day doing it and walking back and forth, but it wasn't far enough to like rent a truck. In fact, it would have been completely waste of money to have rented a truck. Um, but when you live on the 10th floor and then you move to the 6th floor, taking all of the stuff down, out, and then about, hmm, I'd say maybe about 150 meters or so, and then up 2 flights of stairs, and then up 6 floors on an elevator. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot to do, a lot of work. Oh my gosh, I can't see anything. I'm gonna have to, like, if I'm going to just ruin this piece of paper, um, I can't continue to color this because I actually can't see it. I'm quite literally just drawing in the dark here. Um, so I'm just going to sort of have a conversation with everyone, or I can try. Actually, I have a little tiny lamp. Let me grab that, see if it makes any difference. Yeah, it's just a little USB lamp. Um, Let me plug it in really quick. Yeah, you can tell that I'm new to this all over again. Completely unprepared, massively. Um, yeah, I wish I had just moved up or down one floor. That would have been that would have been a lot nicer. Oh, okay, Chandri. Well, it was nice to see you. And I'll see you next time. I need to put this light over here, and then I wonder. I know my monitors. I can plug these. I might be able to plug this into my monitor. Um, Things might get a little wiggly here. I gotta see if I can find an input. No, that's gonna be a disaster. Me gotta run this cable. Yeah, everything is so unorganized right now. Okay. And let there be some light. Okay, okay, that works. That's a little bright in my face. Oh goodness. All right, let me see here. Might have might have gotten okay. Um, it's not the best, but I can see better. Yeah, I can see better. It's far from ideal, but at the very least, I can continue coloring. Yeah, it's so dark because I don't have any lights. I just have this overhead light that is basically the as bright as a candle. Very, very dim light. All right. By the way, I'm using the burnt ochre color. Nothing, nothing fancy here. This is pretty much the only color I need for the shadow part of the cheesy moon. Um, did I get a bigger place? It is only slightly bigger. It's only slightly bigger. It's not ideal. It's not ideal. It was just out of necessity. Can I explain thought process and area working? So for this, I'm not thinking about anything because that for the initial whole part that I've been fiddling around. I've just been pretending to do something because I couldn't see. But when focusing on a particular area, I would say um, what I generally do for my approach is I find the part of the image that won't be disturbed later on in the process. So, for an example, if you're thinking landscape, I always like to start in the back because once the back is done, the odds of it being disrupted later on is is mitigated purely because of the way the layers occur in the image itself. So if you're doing like the sky, you're never going to go back to the sky for some arbitrary reason once you're working on the ground, right? So working from back to front, it just makes logical sense in that way. Um, and for subject matter like this, where you just sort of have two objects interacting, there's areas that are still behind something. So I always like to work on the objects that are behind. Um, and that's the basic approach that I take. I trying to think of any instance where I would modify that approach and why I would, but I actually can't think of a specific reason why I would start with a foreground object if there's something behind it. And I do that for the reason that I described. Like if you finish the background, then there's nothing there to disturb the background. But if you switch the roles, right? If you work on the foreground object, you have to you have to be concerned about the edge, right? So if you take the silhouette of the foreground object, so in like this case, if we say like the mouse is the foreground object, if I were to color in the mouse first, all of this edge work I would have to do twice because I have to do it once when filling it in, and then I have to do it again when I'm working around it. Instead, if I work around it, then I've already established the edge and I don't have to redo it again when I'm filling in the mouse. You see how that works. And that's why in nearly every case imaginable, you're going to be working with the object that is behind the other one because it saves you from backtracking. And that's the general approach that I use. The paper that I'm using is, oh gosh, can I even remember paper names? This is it's a Clairefontaine brand, the the neutral. It's up on the website. Uh, it's yeah, the paint on. Yeah, the paint on neutral. Couldn't remember the name. Um, let's see. I'm switch to PC. That's better. Oh, are you talking about something else? Maybe. Um, yeah. Thanks for answering the question about the paper. Um, so I guess I can until somebody uh, is the answer to that question satisfactory? If there's any specific instance that you want me to describe for the process of which part I work on or whatever. You know, I'm I it's so ingrained in my psyche to say that I never get enough questions, but I suppose maybe I haven't gotten questions for so long that, you know, I might get overwhelmed, but probably not. Probably not. But happy to elaborate on any specific questions or anything like that. Um, in the meantime, I guess I can tell you a few things, I suppose. First thing, I think somebody mentioned udon. Udon is gigantic. He's huge. He is probably closer to 5 feet than he is 3 feet. Um, he is a gigantic noodle. Still the sweetest um, ever. Uh, he's he's kind of hibernating right now. He went on a bit of a hunger strike about, I don't know, about 2 months ago, I think. He went on a hunger strike. He just wasn't interested in eating for whatever reason. I'm going to switch colors here really quick. I'm going to switch to the 115, the dark cad orange. So he did about 10 weeks without eating, which is not, I mean, that's not a huge deal or anything. It's a normal thing in adult snakes. But I fed him last weekend, and so I think he's just he's just like, yeah, I ate, I'm good. I'm just gonna sleep. I swear he's been sleeping for like 6 days straight. Haven't seen him do nothing, but every once in a while he'll come out in the afternoon and drink for like 5 minutes straight. Um, but yeah, he's doing good. Um, as big as ever. And what else? Um, when using the 12 colors, how do I approach the color choice? Well, the I'm doing the 12 colors. Um, I'm doing the 12 colors for a couple reasons. The first reason is I don't want to juggle a lot of pencils. Um, but in terms of which colors that I'm using, how I'm choosing them, the easiest answer is my first instinct is to choose the color that most resembles what I need. That I think is the obvious, right? I think most people would do the same, just intuitively, like, oh, there's a little bit of orange here. Probably use the only orange that's available in the pencils, right? So nothing too complex there. The next thing is color mixing. So I know in the past I've talked a lot about color mixing, the process, the theory, or however you want to describe it. Um, and when it comes to color matching is a culmination of being able to identify a color and then also being able to figure out what colors added together can make that color. And I attribute my ability to match colors because I spent my teenage years painting with only the primary colors plus black and white. And with that limitation, with just arbitrarily, well, it wasn't necessarily arbitrary that I put that limitation on myself. The reason I did is because I was poor, and if I only have to buy 5 colors and I can paint everything, I'm only going to buy 5 colors and paint everything. It was just economical. That's all it was. But I did it for so long that I didn't even own another color of paint until I was in college. So that's how long I did. That's how long I painted with just the primary colors. Um, Even when I did the mural, so some of you, most of you know that I painted a mural in the forecastle on the aircraft carrier. Even when I painted that mural, I still only used the primary colors. Um, so it benefited that for sure. Uh, and when you I'm switching to the was this the CAD yellow? Um, when you practice that for years, not quite decades for me, but for years, about a decade, I'd say, somewhere, yeah, I'd say probably about the age of 14 to 23, I think, just about somewhere around that 10-year mark. Is I just use the primary colors, but it gives you it gives you a sense, a unteachable sense of color matching and the ability to replicate colors and sort of just color math. When no, autofocus is not on. See if I move my hand up, it's blurry because it's always focused on the paper. I have the focus locked. If it's going from focus to pixelated, that's 100% YouTube. Um, I'm uploading maximum bit rate with 0 dropped frames, so my upload quality is maxed out. It's maxed out, and I don't know if you guys have followed much of the changes on YouTube, but YouTube is a disaster. Like YouTube is so much worse than it was even 2 years ago. Um, you YouTube throttles your bit rate to watch stuff, and the way you can see it is like if you click on the little gear icon, it will show you an option to pay for YouTube Premium to increase your bit rate for viewing. I have this problem, even though I have like the fastest internet in Poland. I have this problem when I'm just watching a regular YouTube video and it drops down to like 480p because YouTube is throttling my bitrate viewing, and because it throttles that download, it drops the video quality in order to not disrupt the playing of the video. So instead of pausing the video and letting it buffer, it drops it down to like a terrible video quality just so it doesn't stop. And then you have to manually go down and change the video setting because usually it defaults to like auto, and then you have to click on the gear and make it 1080p or 2K or whatever it is. You got to do it. You got to do it again. Switching to the 177. Okay, so back to the question about the color mixing. No, I'm not going to use any solvent. I'm not I'm not ready for that. I don't have the space even to have a to risk a bottle of solvent. Um, but no solvent, just pure. Maybe I'll grab a paper blender blending stump thing, but not right now. Like I just, yeah, not doing anything complex. I really wanted to sort of jump into pastels, but I feel like it would be a disaster because underneath my paper is this. This is not even, this is a squishy sort of mouse pad type of material. I am surrounded. I can't like move my hands beyond this point. Just have no space whatsoever. Um, yeah, just far from the ideal setup that I feel like I built and had uh, a year ago. So it's just back to the beginning, I guess. For now, kind of. Um, so the color mixing, yes, the color mixing. Practice, practice, practice. Um, there are, you know, you can set up those limitations to yourself where you're like, you know, I'm only going to use these colors, and uh, I'm not going to use, you know, all these obscure colors in the pack of 5 billion Prismacolor that has like every color imaginable plus um you can limit yourself. And I think that's why I kind of gravitate towards the 12 pack of Polychromos so much, because the limitation with the 12 colors is not so extreme. Like if I were to just grab the yellow, red, and blue, and then the black and white, and give myself that limitation, I feel like that would just be punishment. The 12, at least you get some variation of brown, which is the hardest color to manage outside of the um getting browns out of the primary colors is obnoxiously complex and difficult. Um, if you don't believe me, just try to get a range of browns using the primaries with colored pencils. Just, yeah, try to get like warm, cool, neutral browns. Um, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But I don't advise it. Maybe for an exercise you can play around with it. But the reality is you need to get comfortable with what you expect the colors to do when they mix. It cannot be a mystery to you, or you'll never get good at color matching with a limited palette. And I think that it's a very good skill to practice, but you don't have to set it up like doing homework. You know, you don't have to sit down with three colors and like try to mix the maximum gradient variations of those colors and then have it memorized or something like that. I think that it's always better to learn with projects that you can enjoy. I think that this project is a fun little project. It doesn't have a lot of saturated colors. It's mostly yellow and brown, which is really, really nice with the 12 pack. So this project is the color palette of this project is, you basically don't even have to mix anything. Like you use the colors like straight out of the box almost. Um, but the more you get used to using the limited palette, the more intuitive what the color combinations make. That's another reason that I've always talked about making color charts. If you don't have color charts made of your colored pencils and your paint and your pastels and stuff like that, you're just setting yourself up for a very long, lengthy learning process that you could just skip ahead in. Because when you can quickly identify what the color looks like on paper, it's a lot easier to calculate or estimate what the color will look like when you mix it with another color. But there's just no shortcut to us to developing that skill. There's no shortcut to it. There's no teachable skill that I can bestow upon you, even after all these years that some of you have been with me, because it is developed intuitively. When I look at color, I do not categorize it purely based off of its name. So we associate a broad range of colors into a small list of names, usually like red, orange. Oh, that's orange. Oh, that's brown. That's green. There was this, gosh, I think it was before memes were memes. I think this was like back in like 2010s, before memes existed. It was like pre-meme era. And it was a Facebook post about like the difference between artists and other people, normal people, I guess. And it was a list of colors. And it was like, oh, what colors are these? And the normal person says red, green, blue. But the artist says, oh, that's magenta. That's canary yellow. That's cyan, because we come across these sort of obscure colors because they're named on our pencils and on our tubes of paint. And that's beneficial. It's kind of like color vocabulary. And that vocabulary can extend to your understanding of what colors do when they mix. And that's kind of how it works when you're building up layers of different colors. You're no longer working with yellow and orange and red. You're working with these tones of saturation and the hue of the color, and you're balancing, well, yes, this color's orange, or this color is burnt ochre, and this burnt ochre is kind of a low saturated orange, right? So there's yellow here. Like, yellow exists in this color. It inherently exists. And when you're color matching, you're thinking about, okay, well, the color wheel itself, right? There's only so much hue to go around. Like, if you start with pure yellow, any direction you move, you're either going to lean more towards orange or you're going to lean more towards green. And that changes the color, obviously. So when you're balancing your color, you're thinking, or you should be thinking, which direction am I going? Is the orange getting more red, or is the orange getting more green? Or is the yellow getting more orange, or is the yellow getting more green? Wherever you start, you're going to be moving in one direction or the other. The other direction is saturation. So you have three dimensions. You have hue, you have saturation, and then you have value. Value is less of your concern, because value is only measured in how bright or dark something appears, where that doesn't inherently change the hue or the value. So it's not about matching the color at that point. It's about matching the value, which is actually can be completely measured devoid of color. So you can actually just dial it down to just two dimensions. You're thinking about hue and you're thinking about saturation. If you can just think of color in those two terms, and then think about, which direction the color is headed or where the color is existing. If I want to get this orange, but I don't have that pencil, well, I know I'm going to have to use a yellow and a red. So to target that, I have to balance these two colors. If I start with this color, then I already know I have to go closer to this color. And if I start with this color, I know I have to go closer to this color. And it's just a balance. It's just finding that balance. And that's kind of the unconscious thought that I have when it comes to mixing colors, thinking about colors. I suppose in the beginning, I would have thought about it a lot, but after many, many years of doing this, it becomes intuitive to me, and I don't think about it. When I look at a color, I immediately know. I immediately know which direction I need to go, and I can look at the colors that I have available and know that's the color I should start with, and then that's the color that will help get me there. I said this a long time ago, but I believe it was two colors. Like if you can't get there in two colors, then odds are you started with the wrong two colors. If you can't get there in three colors, then you can't get there in four colors either. There's a limitation of how many variables you need to add to your equation before you get the right answer. And if you're trying to mix a color and you're at like color 4, you need to be worried. If you're at color 5, you need to just start over because you're way off base. Now, that's not to say that you would never want to mix 4 or 5 or 6 colors together. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that in terms of color matching, if you're not hitting the right, color after 3, then you're going down the wrong road. Because obviously I've already mixed like 4 colors on this, but I'm not doing it to create one solid color. I'm creating a cheese gradient here. But I used 4 colors. Yeah, I used 4 colors. But there's not one color that I'm after, since there's several colors showing up. Yeah, in general, the color wheel does point to temperature, but you can have a cool blue, or you can have a warm blue and a cool yellow. Perfect example actually exists right here. This is a cool blue and this is a warm blue. I mean, it's hard to describe color temperature in any meaningful, objective way. But when you look at those two blues, is it not obvious which one's warm? It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Like when you look at it, but when you try to objectively express like, well, what is it that makes that blue warm and what makes the other one cool? It's such a nuanced sort of odd topic. It's like trying to describe what's funny. It's like, what do you mean what is funny? People find different things funny. Yeah. Color temperature is kind of one of those things that you learn purely through experience, but you can't actually describe it. It's like when your child asks you like, what does it mean to love somebody? It's like, how do you describe that? Tell them some fairy tale story or something. Um, well, I think that's about as far as I can go with that question before I end up repeating myself unnecessarily. So I guess I'll wait for somebody else to ask another question, and in the meantime, I guess I'll just tell you what I've been up to um, recently. Anyway, so or you guys can share your New Year's resolutions if you feel so inclined. I always like to make New Year's resolutions, and I don't really like. I just say like my goals for the year, but New Year's resolution goals, semantics, really, right? So my current ongoing one is to run 5K every day. I started 2 days early, so that means I've ran 18 5Ks um, since the beginning of the year, which is a little over two marathons. I think yesterday was two marathons worth of running that I've done already. Last year, I mean, I guess I didn't talk to anybody last year. So last year I started running um, a couple months after I returned from the States, and it was awful. Um, I couldn't run. The reason I sort of kind of got into running was because when I was on my way back, my friend asked me if I wanted to run a marathon with him, and I thought, I did a lot of cardio exercise while I was in the States. I was playing pickleball like crazy, like 4, 5, 6 hours a day. So I thought, oh, I've been running for like 2 months now. I could probably squeeze out squeeze out a marathon, maybe like a really bad marathon. Um, so the day before, like I was like geared up to go, and I thought the day before I do it, I'll go to the gym, I'll run a little bit, see how it feels. I'm glad I did because it felt awful. It felt terrible. I couldn't even run 1 kilometer because the pain in my knee was just excruciating. Like it just felt like I was stabbed in the knee, and I couldn't make it 1 kilometer. And I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna run a marathon. I was way too overconfident about that. It caught me off guard how much pain I felt running. And so I tried again after the pain subsided, and I couldn't do it. I could not run. And I was like, why can I not run? And so I immediately started doing physical therapy. It took probably about 2 months of physical therapy for me to be able to run 3 kilometers. But after a couple months, I got 3 kilometers. And my goal last year was to be able to run 10K. I really wanted to be able to run 10K. Um, and I thought that in 8 months, like hopefully I'll be able to do that. And I just stuck with it. I kept doing the physical therapy. I kept running and then resting and just like making sure like the injury wasn't coming back. And it was kind of funny. It was the whole process was like my left knee was in so much pain I couldn't run. And then my left ankle was in so much pain I couldn't run. And then my right ankle was in so much pain I couldn't run. And then my right knee was in so much pain I couldn't run. And eventually, my joints just gave up the battle and they're like, okay, no more pain. And it just sort of happened. And I was able to run. I think I did 3 or 4 10Ks last year. And I did my fastest 5K was 26 minutes. So not only did I completely like achieve my goal, I completely annihilated the goal. I did 13, my longest run was 13K before I actually had to stop because the pain started to well up and I was like, I'm not going to injure myself. But my longest run was 13K in 75 minutes. So I was really satisfied with that. That's the longest I've ever ran in my life. And it was, yeah, it was a real challenge. But yeah, now I run 5K every single day. Had a good run today. My goal this year is kind of a marathon. At the end of the year, I might try a marathon, but I'm gonna run a half marathon in a couple months. So I'm working up to that. That's one of my goals. That's kind of really my only goal. I think about it. I haven't really thought of much else. Um, but yeah, that's what I've been up to recently. Yeah, there's not well, there's a marathon, but I'm not running the marathon. I'm running the half. In the spring. I think it's May. I think it's in May, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I haven't actually signed up for it yet, but yeah. So the marathon in May is what will be my first half marathon. I won't run the full marathon. I'll just sign up and run the half. Um, what I'm focusing on what I'm focusing on right now is my heart rate and my technique. So I started with my 5K. My heart rate was like 170. Um, and I've been consistently lowering that. My heart rate today after finishing my 5K was 148. So I'm like 25 beats per minute down from where I was like 5 months ago. So my breathing is not, and the funny thing is I'm faster. So not only am I faster at my 5K, I'm also using less energy and my heart rate is down, my breathing is down. Um, everything is improving really really consistently. So it's been I'd say it's fun, but I don't like to run. I'm doing it because it's a weakness. Um, That's the real motivation. Is it's a weakness. I know it's a weakness, and I want to get rid of it. Um, so that's my only motivation for running, is that I found a weakness, and I want to get rid of it. Otherwise, I don't like doing it. I don't want to do it. You can just ask my wife every morning when I wake her up to leave for the gym. Because I do it first thing in the morning. I get up at 5 and I immediately just leave and go. Um, and yeah, I don't like it, and I don't want to do it, but I do it because it's a weakness, and it's only a weakness if I don't get better at it. So, and the my improvement over the past 10 months or so, not even 10 months, more like 8 months, has just been, yeah, it's just been good feeling. Oh, that sounds like fun. Yeah, two 20K hikes. Oh, nice, Linda. Yeah, that's good. Good for you. I think by this point next year, I hope that my goal is 10K a day. That's I think that's what I would want to kind of be at, is so confident and so comfortable running that I can do 10K a day. Right now that would be a nightmare because I my legs hurt every single day. My wife has to constantly hear me complain about it. Just every day is like, "Oh, my legs hurt. Will you rub my legs? Please rub my legs." Cuz they've been really really sore this past week. I don't know what has been going on. Um cuz I don't increase my speed. I don't increase my speed or anything like that. I stay at a consistent 10.5 Ks per hour. I don't change it at all, because I'm like I said, I'm only focused on my breathing and heart rate and bringing that down. So um, the speed increase is not of interest. I won't actually increase my speed at all. I will only run at that speed all the way up until the end of the year. The only thing that I will change is the distance. But I'm not prepared to change the distance yet because it's too it's too much right now. I'm waiting for my legs and feet to sort of catch up with the rest of my body because they're just too weak. They don't have like the endurance the rest of my body seems to have. So 7 miles a day. Yeah, that's good. Red light therapy. Yeah, I've come across that. Never used it myself. I think I'll stick to the cold water exposure. That's my that's my therapy, my recovery therapy. Oh, interesting occurrence for me this week. Um, so I have the the house that I have in the States. The tenants uh, moved out, and the day that they moved out, a pipe burst in the upstairs bathroom. And I don't know how long. It had to have gone on for probably a few hours at least. I don't know the exact time frame or how long the water was just spilling out over everything, but the entire upstairs bathroom is destroyed. The ceiling in the kitchen caved in on the ceiling, and the all of the plaster walls in the kitchen and the dining area are destroyed, and the dining area kitchen, which if the dining area kitchen, I believe also both bedrooms upstairs are destroyed. Um, the all the flooring, yeah, all the flooring is destroyed. Um, so yeah, that's how my week started. I got that I got that email on Monday. So yeah, it's been an interesting week for sure. But yeah, I don't think it's any big deal. Like I have insurance, um, so it's not a giant deal or anything. I thought it was kind of coincidental, that like they move out and then all of a sudden things explode. But based on the damage report, they are to blame because they I don't know if they turned the heat off or if the heat got turned off, um, because the thermostat died. Um, it was a little bit vague. For sure, the inspector said that the issue could have been avoided if the tenants changed the battery in the thermostat. Apparently, the thermostat died, but it only would have been able to die if they let the battery die, because obviously it's going to warn them that the battery's dying. So, um, I don't know. Um, it's not like I'm going to go after them civilly or anything like that. That would just be a waste of my time. And I wouldn't do that anyway. I don't think that even if they took the battery out and replaced it with a bad battery, I still wouldn't like, sue them or something. I'm not emotionally attached to that house in any way, and it's not like I don't have insurance. So yeah, so that's a fun thing. Um, I don't really. Uh, I guess the other thing that I can talk about is like what I've been doing the past year, and aside from taking care of my mother-in-law, um, I've been learning to program. I know a couple of you that have me on Facebook already know that, but um, yeah, I spend a tremendous amount of time uh, learning to program and make games. Um, and I have released my third game. You guys are more than welcome to check it out. Um, I don't know, is Cece still in chat? Cece has the link to my page. Um, but yeah, if Cece is in chat, then you can go to my itch page and post it in the chat so people have it. But if she's not, then I'll do it myself here in a minute. Uh, Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how the thermostat works. Honestly, Diane, I've never used it. Um, because I think, yeah, so 5 years ago. Yeah, oh my gosh, I just realized this. Oh, this is so funny. This is so funny. So the tenants that moved in, there, I've only had one tenant in that house, the entire time that I've owned it. I think I bought it like, um, when did I buy that? Gosh, has it been 7 years? Was it 2018? I don't know what year I bought the house. I think it was 2019 or something. I don't know. It was like 5 or 6 years ago. When the tenants moved in, right? They moved in, and the first week a pipe burst because they moved in at the end of December, like 5 or 6 years ago. The very first week a pipe burst, in the basement. It was the pipe leading to the washing machine, which is sort of fortunate because obviously there's a what is that drain that's like in the basement or whatever. It's like a hole in the ground. I can't remember what that's called, but it wasn't too bad because they were there. They turned the water off immediately. It didn't. It wasn't horribly bad. Then the following year, the furnace died, so I replaced the furnace and the thermostat. Everything with regarding heating was all changed out. So I've actually no idea what kind of thermostat setup is even in existence in that house because I have not been inside that house since I put a tenant in it. No idea what it looks like on the inside. Never met the tenants either. So sup pump, that is. That's it. Yeah, sup pump. Um, what was I rambling about? I don't even know what I was rambling about. Oh yeah, yeah. The game link. So that's yeah, that link there looks like it's to Diabloot. So that's the second game that I made. But if you just go to my profile page on itch, you'll see the two other games. Um, but the Diabloot and the Billiards Club, everybody should be able to play no problem on their PC. PC games only, unfortunately. I'm not that good of a programmer to like make it cross-platform. Um, but yeah, the those games, no matter what computer you have, you should have no problem running them. Windows Firewall is going to prompt you if you try to run the game. It's going to prompt you and be like, we don't know who the developer is for this. Do you want to trust it? It could be harmful, kind of thing. I promise you, I'm not a good enough programmer to program a virus. Not to mention that games on itch are vetted for being viruses, so you're going to be okay playing my game. But yeah, if you want to check it out, feel free. The other game, the Hop and Dash, is a 3D game made in Unreal Engine. You do need to have a graphics card to run that game. You can't run that on like a normal PC. You have to have a graphics card. You don't have to have like high end graphics card or anything like that. It's just um it's just that you need to have one to run the game. Otherwise, they're gonna have like 4 frames a second. But yeah, yeah, Hop and Dash is very hard. Um, it is a very hard game until you get used to it. It I think partially CC it was difficult for you because you were playing on your laptop. without a graphics card and you were getting like 6 frames. So that would be hard on for anybody. So yeah, I've been doing that. Um, Having a lot of fun learning the program in my spare time. Which I mean, I'm not gonna kid you. I have a lot of spare time. I just wish that I had more of an ideal setup for the live streams. Uh, Let me see if that, like, my hand looks like it's in focus when I put it there. Oh, there we go. That looks better. I think that's better. Yeah, that looks sharper. Okay. The camera was just slightly out of focus. Um yeah, I wish I had a little bit better setup here. I got the good thing is I got Udon right beside me. Yeah, he's sleeping like usual. He's funny. Usually when he's not hibernating, um, he'll just slightly crawl out of his cave and he'll just lay there just looking at me. Like he will do it like all the time. He'll just sit there and look at me. I swear he does it on purpose too. There's just no way that he doesn't. I mean, snakes are not known to be the brightest of animals. Um, they're, but I swear they're like the golden retriever of snakes. Um, the the ball pythons. They're so friendly. They're so nice. They're so calm. Which I guess that's not very golden retriever like, but they're dumb. You know, they're like the cute dumb that golden retrievers are known for. The like the puppies just like falling over their feet that are too big for their body. I feel like that's what Udon is. Like his body is too big for his head. Um, haven't quite mastered WASD movement. So you can Hop and Dash has controller support, but the UI does not. That was something that I couldn't quite figure out was UI is insanely difficult. Oh my gosh, I would have never thought it was so difficult, but it is so difficult. So you can move and jump around with the controller, but when you have to click on a button for the menu, you have to do it with your mouse. So that's the only it's only downside there. The paper that I'm working on is 30 by 40 centimeters. It's unnecessarily big for this project. It's bigger than what I would want for this project, but it's the only size of this paper that I have. Gosh, I was like, I couldn't find my pencils initially. Um, when I was getting ready, I started getting ready for this project like 6 hours ago because I was trying to remember how to do anything. Um, Yesterday, it took me 3 hours just to log into YouTube because I couldn't remember my password and I couldn't remember the email that I used for this channel initially. I mean, there's not like that many options, but um, it was just, it was like, oh gosh, what's the channel name again? Yeah, just um it has just been an interesting last couple of days, and it was spur of the moment yesterday that I was like, okay, you know what? I need to just try to make some movement on this, and um I had to figure out how to hook my camera up. This camera here is not the same camera that I used for years and years. This camera, that camera that you guys are seeing, is actually my web camera from my previous setup. Um, I have the other camera, but um, yeah, I know that it takes like different cables, and the cables are. I just have every cable I've ever bought in a box. Okay, it's the only sense of organization is that they're not like tangled with each other. But um yeah, it's been there's going to be some growing pains here for sure, because I do not want to have to like set this up and tear it down every single time, which is what I have to do right now because it's there's just no space for it. Um but yesterday I was like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna rip the band-aid off, figure out whatever cables I need. I got this camera working yesterday, which is why I'm using it as opposed to the other one. Um, I am actually remarkably surprised that this stream has worked like at all. I thought for sure this was going to be much more of a disaster um, than what it kind of started out as. And I need to figure out the lighting thing. I need to figure out the lighting thing. I don't know. There's this. I'm probably gonna have to use this. I wonder if I turn this down a little bit if it's not as harsh. I think that that might look better on my eyes. I don't know. I guess that's fine. I think it's turned up all the way though. Let me check. Oh no, it's definitely not. Huh, I might actually use that. That's kind of bright though. I'm gonna turn it down. I'll keep it there. That's not too bad. Um, yeah, it's sort of dark on this side. But at the very least, it got rid of that shadow. Now it's just like super dark on that side of my hand. But yeah, yesterday I figured this stuff out in the middle of the day, and then when my wife came home from work, I was like, I'm gonna stream tomorrow, and um this is going to be the time frame. So the time frame that I streamed for this stream, I started it what, an hour ago or something like that. Has it been about hour and a half or so ago? Um, this is the time frame that I'm going to stream. I can't do it in the middle of the day. Um, and I have about 45-ish minutes. So I have 2 hours a day, or 2 hours time frame that I will stream during this time. Won't be on the weekends ever. It will just be. It won't be scheduled. Um, I will schedule the stream when I know I'm going to do it at least a day in advance. At least a day in advance. Um, I will probably never be so prepared that I'll just be like, oh, I'm going to stream tonight and then go do it. So it won't be that. You'll have at least a day. Um, right now, I'm not making any commitments to the number of streams. So like I'm not gonna say that I'm going to stream next week. I mentioned this, I think, in the Discord. What, gosh, it was like 3 weeks ago or something like that, or 3 or even 4 weeks ago. I don't know. I know it was in December. Um, I just can't. I just can't be certain of anything, unfortunately. Um, but I'm trying to make I'm trying to make the return a actual return. I just There's just too many variables in life right now. So, uh, yeah, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. I'm just being real. I'm just being transparent with that. And one of the other things that I I would regret if I didn't mention it. Like, I'm exceptionally grateful for all of you that waited. I know that like I went for quite some time uh, with not saying anything, not giving anybody any updates or sharing any new information or anything like that. Um, and it wasn't. It was. It was just a lot of things. It was a lot of things. But it was necessary. Just know that it was necessary. Um, and in spite of the lack of continuation with the streaming and the art and the projects and all of that stuff, um, the fact that so many of you still stuck around and waited patiently, it really does mean a lot to me. Like I cannot express um, how meaningful that is to me. So thank you for that. I will try not to, make you wait so long for the next live stream. I promise that, it's not going to be another year and a half before you see me on here again. Available Tuesdays through Fridays. Okay. Um, okay. Yeah. I will never stream on Monday. I will not do it. I'm, it's not that I'm not a Monday person. I don't even have Mondays. Okay. I don't even have Mondays. I just, I will not do it on Monday. I think the only reason I think the reason is because like too much stuff happens on Mondays. So yeah, it'll probably always be a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, um, or a Friday, possibly a Friday. Um, are we going to do some live critiques? You have such a stack of things. Um, I don't I don't know if I'll do um the live critiques. I don't have any plans to do them. I actually haven't thought of it. So you caught me off guard on that one. I don't know. Um, Possibly. I won't rule it out. Because at the very least the live critiques mean that I don't have to draw anything for the stream. But yeah, I don't know. I did always enjoy the live critiques. I'm so out of touch with Photoshop. I don't even know if I have the skills to do a live critique. Because I know when I would do the live critiques, I could like modify the artwork fairly easy. Um, and I feel like I've barely actually I've just now opened Photoshop to make the thumbnail, which it felt so weird to make the project files on the website. It it was so weird to do that. It felt so foreign, and I felt like I was coming back to a world that I was having nothing but deja vu. Like it felt like I didn't know anything, but it felt vaguely familiar. That's what it felt like. And when I opened up Photoshop, I was like, how do I resize the image? And then I had to get my hard drive out. I had to dig through a bunch of cables to find my hard drive so that I could get the files and stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I used to do this stuff, and like I can't remember any of it. And yeah, it's been an interesting 2 days. Yeah. Yeah, been a real interesting 2 days. I tell you what, setting up a stream again, I felt like I was gonna lose my mind. Um, it took longer for me to set all of this up than what I'm going to end up streaming today. um, yeah, I'll put the lar. Wait, yeah, I have. Did I get rid of it? Hold on a second, I'm checking. Um, yeah, so I'm going to put I'll put the line up art. Gosh, can I talk? I will put the line art up on the website right after I finish. Um, Truthfully, I was not intending to, but I will put the line art up. Um, Depending on what future projects look like, I may or may not continue doing line art just because there's so many projects that have line art. I would really, if you're if you're familiar with line art from all the previous projects, odds are you've been, and Claire, I know you've been here for a long time. um I feel like you should be able to generate your own line art, and you should. And I don't want to provide that crutch moving forward. I want to take away the line art. Um, and the reason is two things. One, I don't want to have to make it anymore. Um, and because it's just like one more thing that I have to like try to balance. Um, I'm trying to come back with a much more balanced approach to the all the other stuff, in order to maintain it easier, like the best that I can. But I would advise you to learn to make your own line art, because it's going to, in the long term, it's going to benefit you more. So that this will be, I will do the line art for this project because I have it, um, and I'll upload it. But if you hadn't asked, I wouldn't have. And I think for whatever project might come in the future, I don't think I will do the line art. But yeah. Anyways, I forget what I was talking about before I saw that question. Thank you for highlighting the question, by the way, because I could see it better. Um, okay. Okay. Um, let's see. I'll just get this edge down here figured out. I feel like I should be further along in this project, but gosh, I'm just so out of practice. So unbelievably out of practice. It's It's comical. I can't get over how long it's been since I've even touched a colored pencil. I really wanted to get back to pastels, but I don't know if I don't know if I'm going to touch pastels um, in the near future, simply because of the limitation of space to store them, plus tracking down the supplies, managing the supplies. It's just I kind of wanted the first project back to be pastels. I really did. I didn't want to use colored pencils. I felt like they'd just be they would be slow and boring. But I guess I'm just I'm just out of the groove, you know? Just out of the groove. I just got to work my way back. Just got to work my way back. I feel like I'm learning everything over again. And it's it's an interesting feeling. We'll see if I can do anything uh halfway decent with this project. Um oh, you've been doing your own line art? Cool, cool. Yeah, that's good. What are good ways to familiarize or naturally know color theory? So I think color theory is like one of those terms that gets a little bit overused with its benefits of knowing. So color theory is kind of like composition. There's rules to composition that are used a lot, like the golden ratio, or um gosh, I can't even remember the name. The the three whatever, the three quadrant thingies. Can't remember the name. Why do you have to ask such a technical question? Um so color theory is kind of like knowing what a complementary color is and sort of being able to identify it on a color wheel, like using a color wheel. Like if you learn how to use a color wheel, that's color theory. The benefit of doing that is the same thing that you get when you add colors to your repertoire. So like if you're only using the primary colors, but then out of nowhere you just like add this random purple, then you have this random purple that you can use to mix a new branch of colors, right? And that's beneficial. Well, color theory is sort of like that in the sense that you might know what a complementary color is, but do you know what tricolors are? Do you know how to build a tricolor chart? Or do you know how to build a, I don't know, uh, you know how to use or identify like the tertiary color of two opposing colors, or balance saturation between five different colors. That's sort of like what you get from color theory. I don't think the traditional color theory sort of ideas are are beneficial to many people. Um, and the reason is it's sort of like trying to think of a good context. Think of like a sport. A lot of people like understand the basics of sports. Color theory is kind of like the goalie in soccer knowing like the plan or the something of like the center. Like, I don't know soccer well enough, but think of like one position in a sport, like the catcher in baseball. The catcher in the baseball doesn't need to know how to throw a curveball. Like it's sort of unnecessary. I mean, the catcher can practice and learn it like if he wants or whatever, and maybe he can like develop some like unique understanding, but he doesn't need to know. He doesn't need to be good at it in order to do what he does. And that's kind of color theory. It's sort of like one of those topics where like sure, you can create a benefit to knowing it and understanding like the technical side of color management, but it's not necessary. Musicians, a ton of musicians have no technical knowledge of music. They have no music theory knowledge that are very, very good. And why are they very, very good? Because they sit there with their guitar or their drums or their piano and they just bang on stuff until they find a sound that they like, and they just repeat it over and over and over and over again. And they might splash in some random stuff every now and again to find another sound that they like. There's a ton of musicians that have no idea of anything music theory related that are still amazing musicians. Now, would they be better if they had, some technical understanding? Maybe, but you can't prove that. It's not an argument that can be made with any actual validity to the claim. It's just that if you don't have it, you can't know whether or not it benefits you. But there's so many cases in which it was never necessary in the first place. That's color theory in a nutshell. There's so many other there's so many other skills in the realm of art to master and to work at that if you're so advanced in those, then yeah, maybe you could benefit from some color theory or something. But if there's still so much for you to learn in just the basics, then I think that color theory would be a waste of time. Um, I can sort of make the same comparison with some of the programming that I've been learning, because there's so much to programming. It blows my mind every single day. But I don't need to know a single thing about writing a compiler in order to write in C++. And if I wanted to learn to like program, I wanted to be like really, really good at programming. And in the language that I work in is C++. Um, then I don't think I would benefit or get better at programming just because I grind out, assembly in order to write a compiler. And that those words might not mean anything to anybody at all, but it's the same concept with the catcher not needing to know how to pitch to be a good baseball player. You're not any less of a baseball player just because his position is catching and he doesn't know how to throw a curveball to save his life. Like it's just one of those things where it's, you don't have to know everything to know enough to be great. I'm just going to fill in this section here with this color and call it a night. I can smell dinner. It's been a number of hours since I've eaten, so I gotta get some dinner. My wife and my wife made well, Anna, saying my wife like you guys don't know her name, how long it's been. Um, Anna made guamki, which is cabbage with it's like a filling that's made of onion, lentil, and rice, and then you boil the cabbage and then you peel off the individual leaves and then you wrap the filling in the center. So like cabbage wraps or something like that. I'm not I'm not sure how to describe them in English, but that's what guamki are. The very traditional Polish um, dish. I would say maybe about this as popular as pierogi um, in any Polish community in the states. Of course, some it still makes me laugh to this day. So there's this TV show called The Killing, um, and the family in that show is supposedly Polish, I guess. Um, I mean they mention it like a handful of times or something like that. And there's a scene where they are talking about Guamki and they say it Galomki because Guamki is spelled with L, which is a Polish letter that looks like L but has a slash in the middle of it, and it's pronounced L like you have a lisp. You just put a random W at the end of L instead of L. It's L. Um, but it's pronounced in words as a W, so that's why it's pronounced Guamki. And in that show, they say Golompki because when you write it out, it looks like it's Golompki. And uh, it just it gets me every time because that show, I don't know if you've ever heard of it or watched it or anything, is a real serious show. There's no comedy at all in that show. But every single time I think about that scene, it makes me just it just makes me laugh because it just sounds so unbelievably wrong. Um, that it just drives me crazy. I just it ruins so much of the scene. This idea of this Polish family living in Seattle, and they pronounced it Glomke, and I was equally disgusted while also laughing and crying at the same time because it's just so ridiculous. Just so ridiculous. Still makes me laugh after all these years. I will say hello to Anna. She's been doing well. She's been doing well. She's been coming to the gym with me on the weekends when I can drag her out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, doing her pull ups and dips and push ups and stuff. Yeah, I think she's gotten pretty good at her pull ups or her push ups. She's been doing good with her pull ups too. She's not a huge fan of working out. She is a prolific sleeper. She loves sleeping. She can sleep so good. I'm sometimes I'm jealous of how well she can sleep. Just because our Saturday mornings are get up, go to the gym, go to the grocery store, come home. I get right into programming, and then she just goes to sleep for like 6 hours. That's how Saturdays usually go. But she doesn't usually get back to sleep until like after 10. It's like, how do you go to sleep at like 10 in the morning when you slept 8 hours? Well, 7 hours or so, 6.5 to 7 hours the night before. Oh gosh, there's just no way I could fall asleep. My brain would absolutely never allow me to fall asleep at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's just insanity. There's just no way. I don't even know how that's humanly possible. I would lose my mind trying to fall asleep at 10 o'clock in the morning. I gotta throw some orange on this moon. Looks terrible with that brown and yellow. I'm gonna throw some orange on and then I'm going to go. So if anybody has any last minute questions, get to it real quick because I'm gonna be jumping off here. Jumping off here and eating some delicious dinner. And then going to sleep. I gotta make sure I remember for you, was it Cindy? I think that asked for the line art. I don't remember who it was exactly. I will upload the line art. I will do that, and then I will get dinner. I gotta not forget to do that because if I close Photoshop, that line art's gone, and I'm not gonna make it again. Oh, I'm so tired at 10 at night. I have a hard time making it to 10. I have a hard time making it to 10. Um, I spend every moment of my time that I possibly can learning. I'm so engulfed in learning as much about game development as I can that even when I'm not like physically capable of like hyper focusing on it or whatever, like if I'm eating or something, I'm still watching something that's teaching me something about it. Um, I am fully invested 100% um, with every part of what I can spare to it. That is my that's my dream. That's my dream. I've talked about it before. It always has been, um, and it just sort of the change in the environment, the change in life, and all of that stuff. It was just finally it just sort of reminded me of it, and I needed to work towards it. I had to change everything to do it, and yeah, it's been a long journey up to this point, but a very rewarding one so far. Streaming notification will be on Discord. You know what I will try? Um, what I'm gonna try is the first thing that I will do is I will update the website. I will update the website, and then and when I update the website, that means I will actually create the stream on YouTube. The best notification, if it even works, I don't even know if it works. The YouTube is just so unbelievably broken and terrible at this point. Um, if you have notifications, you're supposed to get an email or a notification from YouTube when I post to the stream, which will always be at least a day in advance, just like this one was. Um, but I will what I will try to do, um, and if anybody wants to maybe figure this out, because I'm not really good with Discord, but I know that you can make a bot that will automatically send out a message when you make a YouTube post. I know this because there's other streamers that do it, that I'm in Discord with, and I get notified when they make a video or post a stream or go live or whatever. I don't know how they do it. I've never looked into how to do it. Um, but if anybody wants to do that and be like, hey, I'll take on that small task of figuring out how to do it and tell you how to do it, you're more than welcome to. I will try to figure out how to do that. I mean, it can't be too hard. Some of the people that have it figured out, if they can figure it out, I'm sure I can too. Um, yeah. Yeah, if either of your daughter knows how to do it, like that would be that would be totally cool. You're a moderator in the Discord, so you might actually be able to even make the bot yourself. I'm not entirely sure, but I think you might be able to. Um, oh, you put it up on the Facebook group? Oh, okay, thank you. I forgot I had a Facebook group. Oh, geez. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, I sent the message out on Discord myself, so that's how most people probably got notified. I thought that that would be the best place. Anyways, I am done for this evening. I'm gonna go get dinner. Um, Sorry it wasn't better conditions for the return, but you know, we got some drawing done. We got to chat for a bit. And I will yeah, I'll see you when I see you, I guess. I don't know the day. So um I probably won't be too long, you know. It's not gonna be a year and a half, so don't worry about that. It's not gonna be another year and a half before I stream. But thank you guys so much for coming by and hanging out. I really appreciate it. I always did appreciate it. Just so you know, I didn't take a year and a half away because I don't appreciate it. The fact that I can come back and you guys are still here, um, yeah, it's really cool. It's really good feeling. But anyways, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you next time. All right, take care.